I couldn't deny it anymore. I needed to figure out what was going on, so I pulled out my phone and called my mom's cell. After a moment of silence, I heard a single ring coming from upstairs. It was more like half a ring, actually, because I guess Mom instantly declined the call. Even though the sound stopped, I could tell that it came from the attic. That was the only place I hadn't checked. I ran up the stairs, my heart pounding. "Mom?" I shouted. "Are you in here?" Once again, she didn't answer, but I could clearly hear movement on the other side of the attic door. With a deep breath, I pulled the door open and saw that I wasn't home at all. My mother, along with 6 other people, sat in a circle on the wooden floor. They wore hooded robes, so I couldn't tell if any of the faces were recognizable, but I knew my mother. She sat furthest from the door, and she looked right at me. There was a large red symbol drawn on the floorboards between them. It looked similar to the markings I'd seen on the walls, with a perfect circle surrounding a series of curved and scratchy lines. "Mom," I choked out. "What's going on?" She smiled, but it wasn't the smile I remembered. It was cold, blank. "I'm so glad you came," she said. "These are my new brothers and sisters. Have you come to join us?" This woman was no longer the mother I had known and loved. She was something else, brainwashed by her new cult into something unrecognizable. Her hood hung low on her forehead, casting her face in a dark shadow. Behind her, I saw more of those strange jars that she kept in the kitchen. They each had the same chunks of meat, and I realized I had been wrong about them. They didn't hold animal organs. These were pieces of humans, of sacrifices. I screamed at my mom, telling her to please, this wasn't right. The strangers began to whisper to each other, but my mother silenced them all with a look. She then turned towards me. "So why don't you want to join us?" she asked, her voice blank. She didn't sound disappointed or surprised or anything at all. She snapped her fingers, and the other figures stood in unison. They walked towards me, their dark robes rustling around as they moved stiffly. And before I could fight them off, they grabbed my arms and pulled me to the center of the room. They shoved me hard onto the floor, right on top of the dark red circle. Several candles shined along the corners of the attic, casting long shadows across everything. My mother laughed darkly, while the others stood along the outer ring of the symbol on the floor. My mother stepped inside the circle. She stood in front of me, both hands hidden behind her back. "Suit yourself," she said. "If you're not with us, then you can be an offering." As I screamed, my mother revealed both her hands and a long, twisted dagger that she was holding. She raised it over her head. Instead of driving it down, though, she stopped and said, "Last chance." "Okay," I screamed. "I'll join you." "Good," she answered, as if she expected me to say that all along. "Come to Mommy. I'll get you fitted for a new robe."
My name is Billy, and I am 18 years old. I just finished high school. Hopefully, I will get into the university. I'm still waiting for the results. Although, for reasons that you will understand after I share this episode of my life, for the moment, that is not exactly the biggest of my concerns.